Moustafa, share anything from the social perspective?
Yes, and I think Ibrahim shed the light very well on this, on the regulation here and how we can follow up an exit strategy and bring it to life with using an IPO. Yet, I think that we should use our strengths here in Saudi Arabia, and we should choose yet best practices. I think that for the exit strategy itself, it should be crafted in a way to provide value first. And I think we have enough liquidity here in Saudi Arabia to do something parallel to an IPO, the pre-IPO. For example, provide exit by buying the share of, or part of the share of the original shareholders. There is a lot of money here in Saudi Arabia. So I don't think we should really be following on the IPO issue because it will take so many years. So funds, for example, let's say, for example, a startup fund of 200, 300, or 400 million could provide this liquidity, for example, for exiting for part of the shareholders' value. There is some international fund that would be very interested here, a venture capital fund, to invest in some Saudi entities. Why is that? So we provide some recap because there are a lot of opportunity here when it comes to marketing based in the Middle East. Saudi Arabia is in the middle, and then if somebody would establish a business entity here, we cover almost 1 billion, market for 1 billion people, So recapitalization, taking some of these holdings, providing that of equity and replacing the original shareholders, I think it will work very well here. So we don't have to wait for the IPO to happen. Think liquidity first within the region and try to use it and try to bring in here some of the recap funds to recap some of the original holdings of the entrepreneurs. This is our two ideas that we can do them right now without any problems, have SEMA approval and everything. On the other hand, I think really that starting up a tertiary or a secondary fund with the help of the government would be a great idea. Why is that? Generally, if we have the right ecosystem, and right ecosystem meaning that we have more than 15 to 20 venture capital fund playing here, I mean, if we have this fund, then the constant flow of deals between venture capital fund and the limited and the general partner would be healthy enough to attract some other venture capital fund in the region. What we want to do is for these venture capital fund first to develop them very well here in the region and provide them with a healthy ecosystem and support in order for them to buy again part of this private holdings. The secondary fund will be participation between the government and part of this VC or other investors, and this will provide direct liquidity to all these VC funds. And this happened in Quebec. In one of these funds, the government started part of this fund in order to liquidate the holding of other venture capital funds. Because think about a venture capital fund who has a very good track record. This is closely held 10 years. And if you don't really liquidate your holdings in 10 years, you have a big problem. You have reputation risk, and then you are not able to raise a second fund. So if you don't have an IPO, you should provide some other tools, whether by recapitalization or by secondary fund being there, or by VCs line pooling fund, or by any other tool that would use the excess private liquidity here in Saudi Arabia. And then you do this, and we will wait for the IPO. It will happen after the junior IPO. It will happen after 2 or 3 or 4 years. Of fact, we don't know. The last thing, if the entrepreneur is really want to go IPO, so I'm suggesting to use what we call a dual listing strategy. So we could list probably in some other jurisdiction, depending on the registration of the fund offshore that has done the investment. And this is very well known in Europe and the United States. And I think we can do it here. And it was done before for one of these deals. I don't remember the name. So you can list on London Exchange or TSX Junior or NASDAQ or TSX in Canada and so on. So this could be done, but again, I don't think that this is the only way to exit. Again, leverage the excess liquidity in the region, providing a very good rate return for the investor. I think via recapitalization or secondary fund or blind pool of VCs will provide an immediate solution for this problem. And I'm not talking about 3 or 4 years, this could be done in 1 year or less.
These strategies that you're suggesting would work equally well for social or double bottom lines?
Absolutely, absolutely. And it was very well documented that the businesses that depends on CSR initiative, and they are very well, from governance point of view, that very well controlled, they bring more value, I think 17%, than the others that, like rely on this standard stuff of X.
This is good news. Yes. Okay. Okay. Abdullah?
So very good ideas for potential exit strategies, but I'll have to side a little bit with Ibrahim on a bit of the challenge related to exit. So if we think about it in terms of what are the two broad categories of exit, the IPO or M&A, or the secondary buyouts. IPOs and M&As really play at the larger side of enterprise value. And due to current regulations, due to challenges with the scale-up of a lot of the entrepreneurship activities and startups, we're talking about long holding periods before you can get to a successful IPO. So what do we do in the meantime? It's about thinking of potential secondary buyouts by other funds, or trade sale, which entrepreneurs should keep a close eye on, establish networks within their industries, and potentially network with mentors and angel investors to make it.
Are there differences in the conversation between what would be corporate venture capital and more private venture capital in the conversation, or do they kind of all fold together?
So for us, we look at least different venture capital, corporate venture capital have different stuff. At Aramco, we see ourselves as a subset of a typical venture capital. The only difference is that I limit myself on the deal flow. So before I apply my normal venture capital process or goals or participation, I limit the deal flow to deals that will have an impact on Aramco. And I do that by finding a business in Aramco that says that if this is successful, and only if, they don't guarantee success, if this is successful, it will have an impact on our business. Beyond that, everything we do is venture capital. We've hired, actually, one of the ways we differentiate ourselves from other large corporate venture capitalists, in the oil and gas especially, is that we've hired professional venture capitalists. So the head of investment, or our investment directors, are not Aramco bureaucrats. Myself are actually people who spend decades in investment. So the team in Aberdeen and Oslo are people who work with both VCs and corporate VCs for the last 2 decades. And same for the US. If I may add something on Moustafa, I have some sort of good news. Last night in Magar, we had dinner in Magar, and we had the honor of hosting the Minister of Commerce and Industry. And he announced an initiative that the government is planning a fund of funds to support venture capital. So they will follow the Korean model, where the government establishes a fund of fund, and if you want to start a venture capital fund, they will co-invest with you. And it wasn't clear on the details, but the understanding is that they'll share the return with you, but they will take the hit first to make it easier for private investors to get into venture capital. So it was wonderful news to hear.
So, thank you very much for the good news. I'm aware of it, by the way. As a matter of fact, I want to double what you're saying. We are on, it's confidential that we are working on a very big fund that we probably will do the same thing here in Saudi Arabia from other authority. I cannot say, but it's the same. So yes, money will be flowing, but again, I think that money only is not enough. It's not a solution. Let's be clear about this, guys. We need to execute deals here in 1 month or 2. Sometimes the deals will take, because of bureaucracy and everything, a lot of time. So the ecosystem, I think, should be developed in a way to be more, let's say, not friendly, but less challenging for the VC industry now. I feel that coming to the exit again, and for our team, the venture capital team, most of the time we try to see from the start, we're trying to plan our exit, and as I explained before, we serve on the board of directors of our MPC company. So we help them and we add value to them and we push them slowly toward an exit. And sometimes it's not easy for the entrepreneur. Huh? Bob has mentioned lifestyle, and he called them lifestyle. I'm calling them zombies. They are there and you don't know what to do with them. Because they are very intelligent and they are taking their salary and everything. And as a matter of fact, I've exited one of these, and I can share this with you as information before them becoming zombie, and they are now at stock exchange on TSX. If you want to review them, the ticker is Sensio. I've done 12x on this one, 12 times our original investment, which I cannot tell you how much is the private transaction. And seeing them, with this attitude, and they're very intelligent, but they are not delivering. They don't want to deliver. They want you to do the thing that is good for them, living a very good lifestyle with this big stock option plan, this salary, and the prestige that comes with in Montreal. So we decided and informed the board, look, it's about time to exit. So we are the investment bankers that went there. And we sit down, and we have two funds participating. It's called investors with us, and we told them, look, that's what we're going to do. And of course, here we have all this, board of directors meeting and everything. And finally, investment bankers starting work. And finally, we have done our IPO. And finally, we have the value of shares was 20 cents. And the right volume when it's 50 or 55 cents. I don't remember liquidated all the holding. I've done for 12x today. If you review SAEV Sensio Technologies, it's 19 cents. And this is almost 7 or 8 years, one of these exits. So it should be planned from the start. Now this is it's not only how to make sure that you're gonna exit successfully, but you should have the right players on the board of directors. This is the VC job. Bring in people who can add value. Nothing personal, just bring the right, this is our job. You bring the right person, and then when you bring the right person that will add value, make sure that the interests are aligned. This is very important things too. What if you bring one of these board of directors that PhD in this nano, techno, whatever, and you put him there, and you're not aligning the interest, and you're not motivating him. So tell them, look, you should always, as a VC standards, and this is one of the things that should be done here in Saudi Arabia, to carve out a 5 to 10% of stock option plan to the management team, and sometimes 5% to the employee too. And now if you do this and you align interest, everybody will be executing the business plan because they know that their share that worth now 50 cents, probably it worth $50 in the future. So exits about so many things. It's not only the final part how to exit, but so many preludes and preliminaries from the start. The management team, whether they are motivated or not, whether you align interest from the start, whether you bring in the right board member, and not only that, you are aligning interest and giving him some stock option plan to motivate him, and you are checking on him and controlling him as an investment manager. So it's not this easy. It's the regulation is a complexity, but the operation of VC that will yield this value is extremely complex.
So do the regulations of Saudi Arabia allow for employee ownership plans?
Well, we are based here in Saudi Arabia all about Sharia, and Sharia is clear about these things, but on the other hand, the question is, it's very vague. Is it enforceable or not when you come to in front of the judge? Probably yes. But I feel that the most important thing is the relationship between the fund and the entrepreneur. If the fund and the entrepreneur, they are aligned from the start and they have trust and confidence and everybody's doing his job, and then arriving at this stage, it will be okay. Because this is fine at the end of the private contract. But if you have problems from the start and you have this lifestyle managing them, they expect some problem in your portfolio after 7 or 8 years.
Thank you. Abdullah, further comments on?
Yeah, I'll pick up on this point by Moustafa on the need to align between the entrepreneur and the fund. This is a very important aspect overall in terms of developing and scaling up the business. It also takes a particular importance when you're talking about exits. So VC funds typically look for a holding period between 5 to 7 years. They should expect, first of all, a longer holding period in this part of the world. And it is important for the entrepreneur to put that on the table as part of the agreement and the initial discussion.
Any further reaction from the panel before I throw it open for questions? Yes.
One of the issues we see even in Aqab when we look at a lot of entrepreneurs is that the companies, when they are started, they don't come with a big dream. They don't come with a big exit. I think in our culture we are very risk averse. We're not comfortable with failure, and hence it's much easier to have a smaller business, as you know, it can work than better in the big. And in my belief, it should be the opposite. I'd like you, when I was at Stanford, of course, anyone in Stanford, I tried with a couple of companies, and I failed miserably in one of them. Failed a little bit in the other. And we used to take it as a badge of honor. I've tried this, or the business plan, we raised a couple of $1 million, we crashed and burned. Is that an issue? Yes. But is it a problem? Should it take out from my capability to take forward? No. Investors there actually came to us, came to the CEO and came to us, asking us about what next are we thinking about. If you failed because you didn't work, if you failed because you played with the money, that's another story. But if you bet on a big opportunity, you know coming in that you will lose. It's very high risk that you will lose. And investors know that coming in. And if they see that you are dedicated, working hard, day and night, and you're smart, you're organized, you have a passion and a vision, but you fail, that's wrong. The same idea that we were trying to do, much earlier, I think, than this time. Last week, the CEO sent me an email that a similar company just raised $100 million to do it. So we were 10 years before. Probably that's one of the reasons. And we messed up in many ways. We made all mistakes, but that's fine. Being comfortable with that is fine. So for the students here, I gave a recommendation that one of my professors at Stanford gave the class. She asked everyone in the class to write the resume of failures. And she said, don't say I failed, but it went better for me, and I wanted to do this, I worked hard, and I failed. Own it, accept it, write the resume. That was a horrible exercise. A week later, we come to the class, and we were prepared, and I didn't. I have to submit, and I just can't look at it. She said, I'm not going to look at it, keep it for you, but leave it in the wall. Every time you want to try something else, look at this long resume of failures and say one more won't really happen.
It's a wonderful story of failure. You know, one of my ways to kind of understand how entrepreneurial a community is if I'm visiting Palo Alto, I'll just go to a coffee shop and sit by yourself and listen to the conversations. And the conversations there are about, you know, I tried, I don't know what's going to work, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to try. So it's very, very informative to just sit and listen like that. Other comments on failure stories before we open things up?
Okay, we don't like to talk about that. I think Ibrahim bring a very, very good point. Thank you very much, bringing here. A good VC should have some scratches on his back. So if you see that the VC is telling you that, you know, I have this return of 25% without saying that I messed it. I lost some deals, and it was, you know, right now I have a couple of deals that's, you know, that it's not going very well. Then, you know, the VC doesn't know exactly what he's doing. A VC should fail. In each 10 deals that you have, you're gonna fail probably 4 or 5, and you're gonna have maybe that's what we call the zombies or lifestyle companies. You have maybe 2 or 3 like this. You should deal with them, and then you have 2 only, maybe 1. That you can have this big upside that will cover for everything. And it's very unfortunate because, you know, in the MENA region, the culture of failing, it's, you know, it's not taken well. On the other hand, this is required for a VC to develop himself and to succeed in the VC business, you know, to learn from his error, lesson learned, and shared with the team, and so on.
Just a final comment on the exit strategies. I think we talked about the challenges that face VC funds in terms of the availability of exit options. But what does this mean to the entrepreneur, to the student in the audience? We've established that exit routes are not as developed as other parts of the world. We've established that the holding periods are longer, so what does it mean for you? It means that you should factor this in your decision to pursue this opportunity, but more importantly on the choice of your partners. You should have partners that are engaged in the idea, that have a long-term view similar to what you have on the business, and to establish a solid network among mentors and industry professionals that will keep you abreast of the industry developments. If there's a consolidation trend, then you should be part of it. If there is a establishment of funds that you can leverage from, you should be aware of that. So I'll leave you with this.